Welcome to How Not to Lose Your Bass in Business. Business is like fishing workbook. Now, this is what we're going to take a look at today, but we're not going to get stuck there, okay? Because I think what's really important is to talk about the 6 steps to success, which we're all in business and we're all in small businesses, from what I understand. And it kind of really takes us to look at that. So let's talk about that. What's one of the first steps that we need to do as small business people? We need to do our research. Where are we going to do this? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? What are we going to do? Who are we going to do it for? And the big one always is why. When you're marching down through those questions, I have to tell you that one of the biggest things that we run up against is what we want to do and what we think others might think without doing the research. And that means we actually have to go out and talk to people to find out what's needed and where it's needed. And then we can put in the how we're going to do it and what we're going to do. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay, I see some heads bobbing. That's good. And you can ask questions anytime in between, so don't sweat it. But this is the first step. There are 6 logical steps, and when we're starting to really talk about them, those 6 steps are: do the research, do the preparation before you execute. Makes sense? Number 4 is networking, and number 5 is celebrating, and evaluation is number 6. These 6 steps, I guarantee, will always make your company and yourself a success if you do them. So the first part really is this research. If you can take the time to answer all of these questions for yourself, you will find yourself saying, maybe I really didn't do the research on when I should take and go and do this. In other words, some people are morning people, some people are afternoon people, some, maybe in between. And some people you're going to contact after hours. The how-to is, well, in today's world, we're doing Zoom today. This is something that in the past I would have done person to person, or we would have brought everybody together in some kind of room or organization. And the what is what they need, not what we think they need. And that's the big thing that we need to learn to listen to find out, and then the who, that's going to be a different piece. That's something you're going to need to describe very down to the moment. What's their ages? Where do they go? What do they do for fun? Where are they when you need to talk to them? How can you reach them? All those things. So they're doing the research is your first step on this 6 steps. All right. Next big step is we're going to look at our vision. What is your vision? Now, a vision is a future picture. And I'm going to encourage you all to write that down. And don't do it in 5 minutes and say, gee, I've got it done. Your vision needs to really describe where you're at, what you're doing, who you're doing it with. A lot of times I encourage people to put on what's your financial situation? How much am I going to have? What all those different parts and pieces. When I'm working with young people, sometimes I encourage them to write down, where do you want to live? What's that look like? Is it an apartment? Is it a 10-bedroom house? Is it on the water? Is it in the mountains? Really start to describe your vision of where you want to be in that future picture. Your mission or calling. This is what you are called to do. This is why you're on the earth. And this is a question that is hard to answer. And if you've never really looked at what your passion is, or what your purpose is, what your calling is, and you're struggling with that, give me a call. Let me help you through that process to really start to nail that down. Whether you're in an organization, working for an organization, personal life, these are questions that I'm going to encourage you to always put towards. Vision, future picture, mission, your purpose or calling. Okay. Now, this is the hard one also. I didn't tell you any of this was going to be easy, did I? Your strategy. Your strategy is your day-to-day plan that you're going to put into place. And I'm going to encourage you to write it down, but have someone hold you accountable, like a coach or a good friend or someone in the business or someone in the company. Your strategy is your day-to-day thing that you're going to do every day so that you can live your purpose and achieve your vision. And, you know, that's what this is all about, whether you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself. This is something that we all need to take a look at. The number 2 thing on your success trait is to prepare. Now, this is where you've taken the time to look at your vision, mission, and strategy. And are there things you need to learn? Now, myself, if you sat in my office here, you'd see I've got 3 screens. We do our TV program from here. We do our radio program. We do all that kind of happy stuff. We never did that. And believe me, I am not Mr. Computer. So I had to learn all this stuff. Yeah. What do you need to learn so you can provide the people or the whatever you're providing to those others? What do you need to learn to do that? Are you the expert in it? Well, not yet, but you will be. What do you need to brush up on or relearn? And then what is your story? You know, the story that you have is going to be really important because people buy you before they buy your product or your service. And I know that sounds kind of funny to some, but really it is the truth. In that first 30 seconds that people meet you, they have already made a decision on whether they trust you, like you, will do business with you. And that, and my friends, is a thing that has not changed even with using Zoom and coming across. Because I get a lot of comments on my office back there, but that's me. That's who I am. I'm an outdoors guy, and I've built large outdoor companies. And so that's the stuff that's on the wall back there. You need to know who you are and what your story is. Where you came from is going to be important as you talk to people. Okay, that's why that knowing what your mission is so important. Now, what kind of equipment you might need? Well, that might just change as we're doing things now. Back in the old days, I wrote down pen and pad and cards and all those kind of things. It's totally different now, isn't it? We might make sure we need to have an iPad, or we have our telephone, we have something we're broadcasting on, because Zoom is a way of doing business. And it's also a way of being seen and heard. So being prepared, I'm going to tell you what, is a lot more than just a saying. Now, I learned it a long time ago in Boy Scouts, of course, but you know, it becomes more and more a daily thing for us as we go through our business life. And, you know, everything I do today is in preparation for tomorrow. Now, think about that just a little bit. What are you doing today? You're actually taking time out of your world to listen to an old guy tell you about how to be a success in 6 easy steps. And then I said it wasn't easy. So you've taken that time, and that's the important piece. All right, we're going to move on. All right, the third step is to execute. Executing our research, executing on our plans means we have to do something. We have to actually take action. And that's, you need to have a plan, a written plan, by the way. There was this big research done by my nephew up in Harvard that said that if you write it down, your 90% chance of doing it is really high. If you don't write it down, your 90% of not doing it is really high. So, you know, but what's funny is, you know, even at Harvard, he was calling here to take and start his own company. So that's how this works. You need a calendar. And I'm going to encourage you to do a backdate calendar. Reach out there in your planning and find out when it needs to be accomplished. Put it on the calendar. and then backdate and start looking at when do I need to start? What do I need to do daily to make sure it gets done? You see, that's the strategy. What am I doing daily to reach my goals? Okay. And that on the calendar needs to have a date, time, and accountable. Who am I accountable to and for? And a budget. I can't encourage you to do the budgets enough. And no matter what it is in your corporation, in your company, in your organization, in your family, if it doesn't have a budget attached to it, it makes it hard to accomplish and hold yourself to. It needs to happen. Okay. All right. No matter how you feel, get up and show up and put a smile on your face. That'll sell more things than you can imagine. It's how you greet people. Nobody wants to be around somebody that's, got an angry look on their face or is always down or, not smiling. So make sure you're doing that. Networking. I want you to take them right down. Net-working, because networking is work. If you own your own company, it's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're going. If you're working for someone else, you are actually there saying that you are working for someone else, but you're the spokesperson. And when you're the spokesperson for a company, which is what I love to do, you're on all the time. One of the funniest stories that came across during this time is one of the largest sales that Miss Robin and I ever put across was to the U.S. government. We were on a paddle wheeler in Alaska. Hadn't had cell phone in about 7 days, and finally my cell phone clicked on, and there it was. Doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always on. And networking is not just going to a networking meeting. It's not just coming to a chamber meeting. It's not just going someplace. It's when you're at the grocery store. It's when you're standing in line. I don't go anywhere without my tag that says, Leadership Wrangler is out and about. Doesn't matter. You need to take and make sure that you are promoting. You're the spokesperson. You're the company spokesperson for either your company or someone else's company, but you're it. Okay. If you get to step number 5, you should have already accomplished all these other things, and it's time to celebrate and get excited because you're winning. You're making it happen. Now, these are some pictures of my wife and I. The last picture is when I sold my first book and became a best-selling book. That was the other authors I was with. They were all there, and everything. Celebration is probably the most important piece, I believe, of this whole thing. Planting that I did, then I will do it again thought process in your mind is so important. You see, our mind only knows what we put in, both good and bad. It doesn't really make a lot of those choices of what is good and bad. It really takes what we put in. So if you're putting in there all the time that I did it, I can do it again, that's what really starts to be manifested and makes happen. So I'm going to encourage you to do that all the time. Okay? I put those funny pictures up that I thought you'd like to see Miss Robin and I being silly, but that was a pretty exciting day when the book went to be a best-selling book, let me tell you. Around here, for a boy who grew up on a dead-end street in the swamp, that was pretty darn exciting. All right. The last one is evaluate. Number 6. It's a hard one because I'm going to tell you, we evaluate ourselves probably harder than anyone else will ever do it to us. But I'm going to encourage you to evaluate what's going on every single day. Look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. What can you learn from the ugly? Somebody was talking about failure, and let me tell you that failure is the most important thing that you can do. My grandfather raised me to realize that failure was the most positive thing can happen to you because it's the way we learn. The difference is if you take that failure, learn something from it, and put it into your world. Failure only happens when you don't learn from your mistakes. So look at the good. What happened good today? Well, what didn't happen so good? And what do I need to change? If you're not keeping a journal, I'm going to encourage you to do that. Journals do a couple things. One is they let us put down our thoughts someplace that no one's seeing them. But it also lets us do a recording of what things we could have done different or changed or made different. So I'm going to encourage you to do this. Have a journal, but a journal has a left and a right page. On the right side of the page, write down things that happened today. Go through your day. On the left-hand side, write down the things that need to get done, a book that needs to be read, someone I need to call, somewhere I need to go, those kind of action items that I need to take place. And then on that day that you set aside, that I do Sunday afternoon, but whatever works for you, I look back through the week and I start planning my next week. Are there people I need to contact? Is there someone I need to talk to? Is there someplace I need to go? Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to do that. This is a fun one. Now think about this. In that journal, who are you talking to? What information did you share? That's an important one because people are going to come to you, hopefully, that you're going to be the expert. And that's why they're going to come to you. Okay. Think about, where did the meeting take place? Did it take place on Zoom? Did we do it face to face? Did we do it at a coffee shop? What was more efficient? What worked best? Go through that evaluation piece. What was the date and time? Very important to keep track of. If you've got a day runner and you're keeping track of who you're meeting with and those kind of things, the date and time is important to look at, so that when you contact them the next time, you can say, hey, I'd like to meet you. And I see that we met last time on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Is that still good for you? Oh, it is. Let's put it on the calendar and make it happen. You see, that gives you the insight in they were a morning person. Or, gee, you worked all day and you wanted me to give you a buzz about 8 o'clock at night. I can do that. You see, knowing that is a big, big piece of your world. And the last one here on this page is check your attitude. I'm going to tell you, what we send out, we get back. And our attitude is so important. If you don't believe in the product or service that you're putting out there, find something new that you do. Because if you don't believe in it, people are going to know pretty darn quick. And then it gets frustrating. I think it gets frustrating. So just know where you're at and what you're doing. All right. Every time you talk to someone, you go somewhere, you do something, ask for the referral. Everybody knows somebody that needs something that you have, product or service or yourself. You make a sale, you do something great, ask for the testimonial. Just, say, hey, did you like what happened today? Did you learn anything? How can I help you? Would you mind giving me a testimony? Whether written or videoed, both are great. If you go to my website, you'll see a bunch of them. Just know that that's a big piece of letting people know that they can trust you. And know, like, and trust is all about how we do business. Okay. Ask the question, what can I do to help you? It's not about me, it's about you. So when I sit here in this chair and I'm doing this for you today, I'm going to always ask you, what can I do to really be of help to you? What do you need that I can help you with? Be grounded. Make sure you know who you are, who you're not, what your non-negotiables are, and always know where you come from. That story is going to be important. You know what? We need to learn how to be strong and to change. People say, boy, I hate change. Well, let me give you the truth of the matter. Change is the only thing you can count on because it happens every single day. Whether it's going to rain or sunshine or, you know, not have a car out there that's got a flat tire that needs taken care of. I'll get to it later. But, you know, what it changes all about. The one I'm going to encourage you a lot on is be passionate about what you do. People buy you before they buy your product or service. If you're not passionate about it, why should they be? Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? Be refreshed and transformational. One of the things that I'm going to encourage you again to do is not only to refresh yourself, but to refresh those around you. You see, right now, we're all going through some interesting times, as we've talked about. Is a smile a refresher? Yeah, it is. It's just a reaching out and just touching base without the thought of trying to sell them anything or do anything, just say hi. Yes, that's a refresher. And transforming, you know, the transformation that happens in people, if you watch their eyes, it happens in a heartbeat because they won't care about you unless you care about them. And that's the big piece about what we're trying to share with you today. So there's been 6 steps of, and they came out of How Not to Lose Your Bass in Business. It's a workbook that'll work you through. There's a whole lot to it, and I would share it with you at any time. The things that are also in there are some things on people, whether interpersonal or extrapersonal or, you know, those kind of things, who and what they are. And if you can learn those type of things about people and how to spot those, maybe we'll take and do that next time and really take a look on how to take a look at that.